What are the standards you're living by right now, and have you ever asked yourself why you're not raising them? This is a bit of a follow-on from the previous episode, which was asking you, why are you accepting low standards? So welcome back to Master Your Mindset, Master Your Life. I'm Sanj, and as always, I'm here to try and bring you quick, powerful insights that can help change your mindset and transform your life. So thank you for tuning in today. And if you get anything from this episode, please drop me a comment, drop me a like, and please share with other people. I have a feeling this episode is going to be quite interesting because it was definitely an eye-opener when I actually started shifting my mindset about this. So there's a quote that says, if you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree. And that was by Jim Rohn. And it sounds really simple. But here's a twist. You won't change your standards. You won't change them unless you have a reason to do so. And the problem is that it's so easy to stay stuck. It's so easy to pretend that you're happy. It's so easy to put your head in the dirt and ignore what is actually going on around you and pretend that you're happy. So today, I'm going to be talking about why you don't change your standards unless you find a deep, meaningful reason, and why staying stagnant, what it can do to your life. I'm going to be talking about why finding your own personal why to raise your standards is actually so critical. And the third thing I'm going to be doing, as always, is I'm going to be giving you some reasons to raise your standards, even if you're not sure where to start. So if you feel that you're someone who's been feeling stuck, or if you know you've been capable of more, that you've got some unfulfilled desires, some potential that you're not yet recognizing. If you're not sure what's holding you back, stay tuned, and hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll actually understand why finding your why is the key to raising your standards and improving your life. So you won't change your standards unless you have a reason. And this is very common. I've heard so many people say, I'm just lazy. I don't have motivation. I can't be disciplined. You don't change your standards unless you have a strong reason to do so. You cannot be disciplined if you don't have a strong reason. It's very difficult to stay motivated if you don't have a strong reason. It's very difficult to not be lazy if you don't have a reason to be taking action. And this is a question that you don't ask yourself enough. Just think about it. When you set higher standards, what that means is it's going to take effort, it's going to take discipline, it's going to take persistence. And unless you see a clear benefit to pushing yourself, it's actually in your human nature to stick to what feels familiar. It's in your human nature to stick with comfort. You will keep going through the motions, and you will accept your current quality of life and keep telling yourself that it's good enough. You'll do that. You'll stay in your comfort zone and you'll happily stay there. You'll ignore the signs. And the problem is when you're staying stagnant, when you don't push yourself to raise your standards, you're limiting your growth, you're limiting your happiness, and you're limiting your potential. You actually end up in a cycle of just surviving instead of truly thriving. And it's in that cycle where it's easy to lose sight of not only what's possible for you, but who you are as well. And it's so easy to do so because, for example, New Year's resolutions, only about 8% of people actually achieve their New Year's goals. And that's because those goals are set in the moment. They're set just off the cuff. They're set without a strong reason behind them, without a meaningful why. And without that meaningful why, the motivation quickly fades. And the worst thing is as soon as the motivation fades, so do your efforts to change. And what's the impact on your life? Well, it's significant. Because what you're doing is, first of all, you're losing confidence in yourself because you're breaking a promise you made to yourself. You're settling for good enough. You're settling. How does that make you feel to know that you've settled? You want the best. It's like you want to go and you want to drive that Porsche, that Ferrari. You want that car, but you're settling for, say, a rundown banger. When you're settling for good enough, you start to tolerate things that you shouldn't. You start to tolerate things like unhealthy relationships. You start to tolerate unsatisfying jobs, or even think the worst thing of all, negative self-talk. And over time, it can lead you to feelings of frustration. It can lower your self-esteem, and it can even cause resentment. You become trapped in a life that actually is a shadow of what it could be, simply because you haven't found a reason to reach higher. And it is so common that people will live like this. You will live like this until things get so bad, that you cannot stand it. And then, and only then, will you seek out a more positive result. You'll start to raise your standard. You'll start to be better, do better, think better. So you need to find the reason to raise your standards. So if you're stagnant, it can have such a powerful impact on your life. But why don't you then make more of an effort to raise your standards? Rather than holding yourself back and settling, why don't you actually go out and raise your standards? And the answer is, and is very simple, the reason you don't is because without a strong why, it's just not going to stick. Change is hard. Change is difficult. It takes energy. It takes a lot of effort. And without a compelling reason, what you're going to find is you're going to eventually go back to what feels easy. How many times have you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to eat healthy, but then just by default, you find yourself going to McDonald's, you go to KFC, and you just start picking up junk food because it's easy, it's quick, it's convenient. Imagine you want to get fit, you set a goal to go to the gym regularly, but you don't think about why you want to go. You say to yourself, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week, but you don't think about why. So you go for a week or two, but then maybe a couple of weeks it's really cold out and you can't be bothered to go out in the cold. Life gets in the way, you skip a day or something. Then one day turns into 2 and then into 3, and before you know it, you've dropped the habit. If you want to actually maintain a habit, it's okay if you fail or you skip one day. But then the moment you skip 2 days, that's when you're telling your brain this thing is not important. I know I've done it. I know I still sometimes do it. But then I do pick it up as well afterwards. So contrast that with someone who's got a deep reason to get fit. Maybe you've got a friend and they want to get fit for their wedding, or they want to get fit and healthy so that they can play with their kids, so that they look the best they can for their partner. Yeah, maybe they've had a health scare or something and they know it's time to take better care of their body. Their reason becomes their fuel. Their reason why is that thing that keeps that motivation going. It keeps them going. It kicks them out of the house to go to the gym on the tough days. With a powerful why, you're more resilient, you're more determined, and you're more likely to stick to your commitments. So, and the other thing is when you're making these goals, when you're setting your goals, be specific. Yeah, when you've got specific goals and clear reasons, you're more likely to achieve your target. You're more likely to hit it. Because having a purpose behind your actions is what gives you that extra motivation to follow through. So if you want to raise your standards, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your career, or just your personal habits, you need to find a reason that makes it worth the effort. This isn't about setting standards that others expect of you. Forget what they want. Forget what they're asking of you. It's about what you want. It's about finding something that's meaningful for you. Something that's actually going to resonate with you. Something that is going to wake you up in the morning and be like, yeah, this is a reason to get out of bed. And if you want to find your reason why, here's 3 ways in which you can try it. And again, simple ways. It doesn't have to take long, but it can have a big impact on your life. Minimum input, maximum output. The first thing you can do is to reflect on what you truly value, because when you find a strong reason in your life, it will be something that you value. Think about what brings you joy. Think about what brings you fulfillment, sense of purpose. Being a good dad, being a good husband, being a good wife, being a good mum, being a good friend. When you connect your standards to your core values, that's you creating a natural motivation to stay committed. If you value family, you're going to think, maybe I want to raise my standards into how you're going to manage your time so you can spend more quality time with them. Or if you value your health, you're going to raise your standards and make fitness and nutrition habits. When your standards align with your values, it becomes much easier to stay consistent. The next thing is to visualize your future self. Close your eyes and imagine. Imagine yourself in 5 or 10 years from now, living the life that you truly want. What kind of person is that? What are their habits? What are their standards? What actions are they taking? What are they thinking like? Visualization is such a powerful tool because it creates a mental picture of what you're working towards. And your mind, your subconscious mind, can't tell whether it's real or not. So if you start closing your eyes and imagining and visualizing that life, your body, your reticular activating system is going to be turned on, and you're going to start taking actions that person would take. When you can see the version of yourself who has already raised their standards, it helps you to identify the specific reasons for why you need to start now. And finally, think about what you're no longer willing to tolerate. When you find your why, it means you recognize what you don't want anymore. So what are the things in your life that you're tired of putting up with? Is it lack of energy? Is it unfulfilling relationships? Self-doubt? Is it self-sabotage? What is it? Use that frustration as fuel. Use it to actually get you out of bed in the morning and taking the action you need to take. Think about what you'll gain by raising your standards, what you'll lose by staying the same. Imagine your life in 10 years if you raise your standards, and then imagine your life in 10 years if you're staying the same. Your strongest reasons come from a desire to leave something behind, something you know isn't serving you. So if you're no longer willing to settle, let that be your reason to raise the bar. Your standards are the foundation of your life, but they won't change unless you have a reason to change them. So, although it is easier and more comfortable to keep our standards as they are, you need to start thinking about the impact it has of staying stagnant. It can keep you stuck in routines and habits that no longer serve you and actually prevent you from reaching your true potential. It is so important to find that meaningful reason to raise your standards, the one that gives you the resilience and the motivation to keep pushing forward. So if you want to change your standards, don't forget, reflect on your core values, visualize your ideal self, identify what you're no longer willing to tolerate. So what is one area of your life where you're ready to raise your standards after listening to this? And why does it matter to you? Write it down if you need to, because finding your why is the first step towards lasting change. As always, thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you found value in today's conversation, please share this podcast with someone who may need a reminder that they need to find their why, they need to raise their standards. And please leave me a rating and a review wherever you're listening to this. And if you want to find a community to be held accountable, to give you support and to challenge you, please drop me a DM on Instagram at just.live.coaching, and I'll send you a link to my Facebook community. So remember, when you find a reason that's meaningful to you, you're already halfway to transforming your life. So until next time, keep working on that mindset, because when you master it, you'll truly master your life. Thank you.